Yeah, we back at it. Yeah, I hope y'all had a good day. Yeah, I just got off of work. You know, tired a little bit, but figured I'd do something. You know what I mean? But yeah, I hope everybody having a good day. I hope y'all, did everything y'all wanted to do today. So, if you're going through something, just keep it pushing, man. Take one day at a time. It's the only thing you can do. You're still here, right? It's a sign, man. It don't matter whatever you go through. I promise you, bro, it's gonna get better. That goes for anybody. It's gonna get better. Let's get into it.
The mafia, the yakuza, the drug cartels, institutions of extreme illegality operating on core business principles. Some of them have become more profitable than Wall Street. And in this video, I'm going to be shining a light on them. What are the 10 richest criminal organizations this world has ever seen? Number 10, the Medellin Cartel. If the Medellin Cartel still existed today, it would definitely be at the top of the list, because at its prime, this drug-dealing organization was easily the most powerful and most coordinated drug cartel in Colombia, and most of the world. It was so notorious that the US considered it a semi-terrorist organization. And for the uninitiated, the Medellin Cartel was founded by none other than Pablo Escobar. The name Pablo immediately evokes tales of unending wealth, and trust me when I say this, there is more truth than fiction in the tales. Escobar created the cartel in his 20s in the city of Medellin, Colombia. Official records say that the organization generated over $20 billion annually, and most of the wealth was gained from illegal cocaine trade, a sprinkle of trafficking, political violence, and thuggery.
Bro, 20 billion a year, bro.
Shipping of criminally exotic materials. I'll leave the last part to your imagination. Now, if you're one of those naysayers who find it hard to believe the Medellin cartel was that rich, I'll let you know that Pablo was not the only official billionaire that operated under the Medellin cartel. Number 9. Camorra. How does an organization that has no central head amass $4.9 billion? That's a question that would most likely be difficult to answer from your couch. But for those in the Camorra cartel, it is pretty simple. Legacy, respect, and structure. Founded and currently still existent in Italy, the Camorra cartel was formed in the early 1600s.
I didn't know cartels was like Italy, or could be Italian. I ain't lie, I thought cartels was just like a Hispanic organization. Guess not.
They started as a loose association of different criminals with nothing to lose, devoted to one simple goal: the accumulation of wealth. By the 1800s, politicians gave this organized association of criminals the needed arsenal to overthrow the existing monarchy. After being part of such a monumental shift in history, the Camorra cartel began to shift its focus from wealth to power. Amassing power is not a problem, but when you combine that with illegal operations such as gambling, trafficking, and counterfeiting, the government will come after you. And that is exactly what happened. But by that time,
so they come after you now for taxes.
was already too late. The Camorra cartel had already gone international, and it now holds considerable power in Italy, holding a vice grip on the waste management systems in Naples. Not too bad for a 400-year-old criminal organization.
That's
Number
crazy,
8, the Sinaloa cartel. Drug business is a profitable business. Everyone knows this, even the CIA. After talking about the incredible exploits of the Medellin cartel, we thought it would be fitting to shine a light on the cartel that took its place as the largest cartel in the world, the notorious Sinaloa cartel. Official records say that this criminal organization rakes in at least $3 billion annually, but I find that figure incredibly small, and here's why. Firstly, the Sinaloa cartel is currently one of the largest in the world, and it controls 60% of the drug revenues. So, the first question is, what is the value of the drug market? Well, depending on who you ask, it is anywhere between $6.5 billion and $500 billion. The range is so wide that no one knows for sure how much is being made. However, everyone is sure of one thing: the Sinaloa cartel owns and controls more than half of it. The cartel was created by El Chapo Guzman, whose life is interesting enough to have a separate video. And if you've been a fan of The Fugitive, you'll know I have done several videos on the man. He's been able to control the cartel from jail and on the run. Even if you hate what he has built, you have to respect his leadership qualities. Number 7, Ndrangheta. There is no doubt that Italy is in a long-term relationship with organized crime, and it's not just a Hollywood thing. You might not have heard of them as Ndrangheta, but they are one of the most vital members of the global network of the Italian mafia. And how much do they make? On paper, $4.5 billion. Once again, I think that's probably conservative, and I'll tell you why. The 'Ndrangheta is an Italian mob that was established in the 19th century in Calabria. Their major element of trade was and still is cocaine, and over the years they have become one of Europe's most dominant cocaine traffickers. However, it doesn't end there. What makes this organization extra special is the fact that they have managed to maintain good relationships with other criminal organizations. Often, they will choose compromise before taking the route of violence. This has made them allies rather than enemies, as well as incredibly tough cases to crack for law enforcement agencies. In recent times, the 200-year-old criminal organization has entered into money laundering, investing money into legal businesses to wash their endless funds. If you have a startup idea and you don't mind the source of their wealth, then you could give them a call. Number 6. Yamaguchi-gumi. You might not have heard of the Yamaguchi-gumi, but you have definitely heard of the Yakuza. They are Japan's equivalent of the Italian mafia. And just as Camorra is part of the Italian mafia, Yamaguchi-gumi is part of the Japanese Yakuza. So, let's dive into this. Anyone that knows...
I'll say about it, the Japanese... I know people say Yakuza, but that's probably how you really say it. I don't really know, but yeah, like they like the Italian mob. So you ever see like the movie Goodfellas and how it was a criminal family, but they was part of different families? That's how that is. And they don't play at all.
The Yakuza in Japan knows that they are one of the most principled criminal organizations in the world. They are so strict that if you break one of their rules or laws, you're expected to undergo an atonement ritual called the yubitsume, which practically means you'll have to cut off a little finger to prove how sorry you are. The largest syndicate under the Yakuza umbrella is the Yamaguchi-gumi, and it was founded in 1916 by Harukichi Yamaguchi. Today, they have at least 20,400 active members and 18,600 associated members. Most of their money comes from extortion, gambling, the sex industry, arms and drug trafficking, stock market manipulation, and internet pornography. It is said that the syndicate generates at least $6.6 billion yearly. Of course, I think it is definitely way more than that. Number 5, Solntsevskaya Bratva. You shouldn't be surprised that Russia has its own mafia. The Solntsevskaya Bratva is the largest and most powerful mafia in Russia and brings in an estimated annual income of $8.5 billion. From contract killing to money laundering to drug dealing, there's hardly anything that this Russian mafia subsidiary doesn't do. You wouldn't be wrong to say that they have their hands in every pie. Unlike the Yakuza, which is highly centralized with a clear chain of command, this organization has something uniquely different. The group has 9,000 members that are divided into 10 separate, almost independent brigades that operate more or less on their own. However, when they have to work together, they pool their resources and do exactly that. Their money is overseen by a 12-person council that meets regularly in different parts of the world, often disguising their meetings as festive occasions. And you thought fiction was stranger than reality. Number 4, D Company. How many people talk about India when they bring up a list of organized crime? How many? I'm thinking probably none. Maybe it's a lack of research, or maybe it's because most people don't bother to look. Either way, it pays Dawood Ibrahim if D Company...
I ain't gonna lie, that's the last place you think I have organized crime, bro. Like, there's too many people. Like, it's just like, I don't know. I wouldn't think India on the list, though.
Stays under the radar because he is currently number 3 on the FBI's most wanted list for his support of terrorism. His criminal organization was created in Mumbai in the 70s, and it served to ship around heroin and opium, but with time it expanded to supporting and funding Al-Qaeda. The criminal organization makes at least $6.7 billion yearly, and this amount is hearsay because Dawood has been pretty good at covering his tracks. Good enough that since he masterminded the 1993 Mumbai bomb blast, neither Interpol, the CIA, nor the FBI have been able to find him. He is still controlling his criminal empire from the shadows. Number 3, La Cosa Nostra. Can you hear the soundtrack of The Godfather in the background?
La Cosa Nostra. Mafia.
I can. When it comes to criminal organizations, there is hardly any that is as popular and admired as Cosa Nostra, often referred to simply as the Mafia. The group had its humble origins in the 1800s in Sicily, Italy. Legend has it that it started as a prison gang that had a semblance of the same structure and values that the modern-day mafia still has. Over the years, Cosa Nostra moved from prisons and villages to more influential places of power. thanks in part to the political instability of the times. They worked hand in hand with opposing government factions to carry out assassinations and other forms of sabotage. Then, the mad tyrant Mussolini came into power and proved too violent for even the mafia bosses. So, they fled to the US and Canada to continue their operations. Extortion, gambling, prostitution, money laundering, the list is endless. Cosa Nostra has a global membership strength of at least 25,000 members and 250,000 affiliates, all raking in a cumulative amount of around $50 billion. Number 2, Gulf Cartel. As one of the oldest criminal organizations in Mexico, the Gulf Cartel deserves its place on this list. With their base firmly entrenched in Mexico, the group traffics drugs throughout the United States and even into Europe. Aside from drugs, they are particularly known for their high-profile kidnappings and extreme violence. They also seem to have a finger in almost every pie, dabbling in everything and anything criminal that they can lay their hands on. Out of all the cartels, including the Sinaloa, they have suffered the most at the hands of anti-drug agencies, and yet they have survived. Today, they are still worth around $9.9 billion, remaining one of the richest criminal syndicates operating primarily from Mexico. Number 1, the Triads. The Triads are the most established, most terrifying criminal organization to exist in a long time. They operate from Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan, but they have expanded to South Africa, the US, Britain, South America, and Russia. Their major trade is human trafficking, and they move at least 100,000 people around the world yearly. It is insane. Other criminal activities that they run include drug transportation, racketeering, and other varieties of crime that suit their fancy. They are mostly decentralized, and this is why it has been so difficult to dissolve them. A low-level member of the Triad could easily be mistaken for a boss. They allowed a lot of autonomy, and no one knows for sure how their money moves. We just know that they have a load of it. Some have said $13 billion, and others have pointed at larger figures, but no one will ever know because of how loose and secretive the organization is. Click a video on the screen if you'd like more content like this, and I'll see you there.
I have it!
I'm gonna get at y'all the next one. Yeah, stay safe, take care of yourself, take care of each other. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Nazo out.